The studio lights beamed down like a spotlight on a stage, but the real heat wasn't coming from the ceiling, it was coming from the panel table. The set of the five had seen its fair share of arguments, bold opinions, and dramatic moments over the years, but today was different. Today felt personal. It started like any other segment. The panel was discussing a polarizing topic: government accountability, economic reform, and how recent policy decisions were affecting everyday Americans. Jessica Tarlov, known for her poised yet passionate liberal takes, had come prepared. She'd spent the night combing through research, reading new data, and practicing her points. Not because she needed to win an argument, but because she cared deeply. She'd seen the impact of policy on people, not just numbers on a screen. Senator John Kennedy, sitting across from her, as a guest panelist, wore his signature Southern charm like a badge of honor. Folksy, sharp, and unafraid to speak in metaphors that made people laugh or bristle, he was both loved and criticized for it. But behind that charm was a steely determination to push his agenda. And today, that meant clashing head-on with Jessica. Things escalated quickly. Jessica had just finished making a point about rising costs for working families, citing the struggles of teachers in low-income neighborhoods. Her voice carried conviction, measured, respectful, but urgent. She spoke of her cousin, a public school teacher in Pennsylvania, who worked 2 jobs and still couldn't afford rent in her district. Then came Kennedy's reply. With a wry smile and a dismissive tone, he leaned into the mic and said, "Jessica, with all due respect, feelings don't balance budgets. Maybe your cousin should try harder." The studio went silent. The words hit harder than any economic argument. Jessica's eyes widened, not in shock, but in something far deeper. Hurt. Her voice trembled slightly, but she didn't waver. "Senator," she said, voice firm now, "my cousin does try harder. She wakes up at 5 a.m. to teach kids who come to school hungry. She uses her own paycheck to buy school supplies when the system fails them. So if your response to struggle is to mock it, then maybe you're the one who should try harder." A murmur rippled through the control room. Even her co-hosts looked unsettled. Kennedy smirked again, doubling down. "I'm just saying, maybe she should learn some personal responsibility instead of playing the victim." That's when it happened. Jessica stood up, not with rage, but with resolve. She took off her mic, eyes locked on Kennedy's. "You can insult my politics, but don't you dare insult the people I fight for." The director motioned to cut to commercial, but not before millions watching at home saw her walk off the set, shoulders back, jaw clenched, emotions swimming just beneath the surface. It wasn't a tantrum. It was a statement. In the hours that followed, social media exploded. #IStandWithJessica trended. Viewers from all backgrounds flooded the comment sections with stories of teachers, nurses, grocery clerks, people who felt invisible, suddenly seen. Backstage, Jessica sat alone for a few moments, breathing deeply. A producer gently knocked on the door. "Are you okay?" She nodded. "I just, couldn't let that slide. I don't want to be the reason people think their struggle isn't real." Later that evening, Greg Gutfeld, normally her sparring partner, texted her. "What you did today? That took guts. Proud of you." Over the next week, the network aired a special segment highlighting underpaid educators and public workers. Jessica returned to the five with the same strength she left with, but something had shifted. She wasn't just a pundit anymore. She was a voice for the unheard, and people were listening. Her walk-off wasn't about anger. It was about dignity. Sometimes, standing up means walking away. Not in defeat, but in defiance of the idea that empathy is weakness, that caring too much is naive. In a media world that often values heat over heart, Jessica reminded everyone watching that strength isn't always loud, it's principled. And it's in moments like these, when one person refuses to stay silent, that real conversations begin. Because sometimes, the most powerful message isn't what you say. It's what you refuse to let pass without standing up.